So I tried to make this video outside, but there are so many mosquitoes, I just couldn't deal with it. So we're moving into the garage. What I'm working on today is I'm gonna come up with some sort of system for recoil management. So a lot of times I actually shoot prone, but I'm shooting on a hard surface. So other than, when I'm using, kind of pulling the gun into my body, I don't have a real good system for recoil management. The other thing is shooting off a tripod, I'm sorry. But before this piece engages to you, where you can actually like move the gun, you've got this slack in here. So I want to get rid of that, but I don't necessarily want to mess with this in itself. I want to have a system. So what I've come up with so far, and I'm still working on it, I bought some paracord and I just kind of came up with this little knot, and I got these two loops here. So my first idea, and this is going to be kind of a multi-system, but we take these loops and run them over the front of our gun because we don't want anything wrapped around the barrel. And this gives me this tension. So then what we can do is run this underneath back towards the shooter. And I'm thinking something like you could wrap it around your foot and then have an attachment point at the other end. And I'm thinking maybe something that's on the chest or the belt or something to work with both. But then a way to take the extra slack out. So maybe I actually bought these. Oh, they're somewhere. Oh, here it is. These carabiners. So I'm thinking maybe off of a belt loop and then could do some sort of knot on here that the string runs through. That way you can pull that string, tighten it up, and then when you step on it with your foot, it's going to pull a lot of downward tension. It's going to pull all that slack out of there. And then when you rest your head on the buttstock, you're going to get that, it's going to kind of pull against this. So then you got a system that's working against each other to get a really nice, stable position. Still working on it. The other thing, which is why I got two loops, is I shoot off of a big container sometimes. And so I don't have a way to preload the bipod. So here we go, two loops. Wrap around the front of the bipod. And it's gonna go under the shooter. And again, I'm thinking some sort of loop, something for the foot. It'll wrap around the foot. And then with a little bit of play that you have in your foot, you can push your toe out, pull that slack out of the string, and then able to preload the bipod. So I want to think of trying to come up with one system that you can do both of that with, and then we'll see what else kind of comes along as I'm doing that. So that's what I'm working on today. This is just the intro to this video, and then I will be back and kind of show you what I've got going on. So let's take a look. Let me show you where I'm at right now. So I rigged up basically my loop that attaches around the front, wrapped it up in a quick deploy kind of bundle. So basically I can throw it right on front, I grab it, I rip it all the way out. And what I'm at so far is I did find one problem. So I'm got socks on, but the part that comes back to you needs to go over the top. That way it's pulling down on itself. If you do it, I hope this makes sense. If you do it this way, then it just kind of slides off. So you want to have the part that comes back to you over the top of your foot or your shoe or your boot. That way, hopefully you can see this. This part is pulling this part back towards you. And now this is what gives me the tension. You can see that on the front. Now, as of right now, what I did is I wrapped it around my waist. I tied a Prusik knot. So I basically got this loop, and now what I can do is I can slide this forward and get that tension. And then when I use my foot and push down, that takes out that slack. Now watch the difference. So this is nothing on it. So it just moves really easy. Now when I push that downward pressure, take that out of there, it takes a lot of that slack out of there. It moves up just a little bit because I've got downward pressure on the front. But then when we rest our head on it, then that's gonna pull back down. And there's almost, I mean, I'm sure there's a tad bit of movement, but I mean, that is huge. And so then what I can do is take this Prusik knot, slide it out a little bit more, get a little bit more pressure. And if you don't know what a Prusik knot is, basically it just locks on itself. So you can release tension and move it back and forth, but when it has tension on it, it won't move. And so that is nice and solid. So let's see where we can do to improve this. So this is where I'm at. I think I got it figured out using the tripod, but now I'm looking at the prone position. So I've got it wrapped around the bipod, comes all the way down. So I've got our other Prusik knot if we need to use the tripod. This loops around your foot way down here. I tied a knot where for the length of it, but basically that allows you to do a Prusik knot here, and then we can adjust it up here around the foot. So now the problem I've come into is that you've got this huge loop down here. So now what I'm thinking, if I tie with just one piece of string, have a loop down here that goes around your foot, and I'm thinking either some type of knot up here, or I can do a loop. Like I've had some extra, so I tied a loop in there. So maybe I'm thinking a carabiner, some type of Prusik knot off of this. That way you can cut your string down, and then you have a handle up here. And then what that would allow you to do is you pull this, and it's gonna pull this closer to your foot. So you got more adjustment up here, and you don't have to worry about all this coming unwrapped around your foot. One thing I am trying to avoid though, if I can do it, is without using these, or I can find some like camoed ones or something. If I can do some sort of setup that's nothing but string, that would be a really good idea. The other solution I found for the back end is tying just a little loop around the end of it, because not all guns are going to have spaces. Some of you are going to have a full stock, but I found if you tie just a loop around the back, you can tie a Prusik knot onto this. You can loop that on here, or if you tie like an earlier, you had the Prusik knot, you can attach this to your belt, and then you can pull this, the link out of this, the slack out of that, or attach it to your belt loop, or you can actually attach it to this, and then you don't have a bunch of rope wrapped around you, and then you can pull it, and what that will do is pull down on the front and the rear. So once I get everything figured out, I'll show the whole deal, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's keep going. It's been a couple hours since I've been working on this, and I finally got it. Once I kind of figured out, it's really simple. One piece of string and a carabiner. And so basically what I did is a double henchman's knot at the very beginning. So what that does is give you 2 loops. And then I get this little, you got a little tail left over. So I just did a knot around the other piece of string, which leaves me a little loop that runs all the way down to the very end. And I just tied a bow line. The next thing is make yourself a small loop. You're going to tie a Prusik knot, attach that to your main line, attach your carabiner on it. Second thing you're going to do is take another loop and attach it to the back end of your rifle. If you don't have like a chassis or something, you can just wrap a piece of string around it, something like this. I'll go into more detail on how to make this, but here we go. Coming off the bipod, we're just gonna wrap this right around the front. I'm gonna make sure that it is not on the barrel, it's on the fore end. It's kind of hard to see, but it's just wrapped right around there. We're gonna come up underneath, and then we can do this a couple different ways. We got our Prusik knot. We're gonna slide that all the way back towards us. And now I can attach this either on my belt loop if I'd like, and then I could kind of pull, see if I can get this out of there. If I want to attach it on my belt loop, and then I can pull that slack out of it right here. So let's look at what that looks like. I'm trying to do this one-handed. So here's the slack. Pull that out. Now the way a Prusik knot works, is it will slide on it until you've got tension, and then it will lock itself. So if I want to do that, actually, the way I would do this is, let's say wrap it around my foot, tighten that up, and then that takes all that slack out of there. The other thing, if I wanted to do, if you wanted to, I guess you could wrap it around your waist and wrap it back into the loop at the end and take the slack out. I think what I'm finding better is with this loop at the end of our gun. Sorry guys, trying to do this one hand. We're just gonna attach that. Just bear with me. Attach that in there, and then what this allows me to do is, here's our Prusik knot, so I can give myself some slack. We're gonna wrap this around our foot. And now what this does is I can come back over here and take whatever slack I need out. And then if I need more tension on the back, all I gotta do is slide my foot back. And that'll give me more tension back here. If I need more tension on the front, I slide my foot forward and press down, and you can see I can control the angle of it by just how I move my foot. So once I get the angle I need, just pull straight down, and all that wiggles out of there. Well, 90% of it. Now here's the other thing that I'm excited about. Give me 1 second. Now we're gonna take this off of here, and we're gonna get into the prone position. And we're gonna use this same setup, except what we're gonna do, and I guess you could leave it on the front, but because we got the 2 knots, we're gonna wrap those around the bipod feet. Now that loop we made, let's see if I can get this on camera. That loop we made all the way at the front, we're going to take our carabiner and we're going to slide it all the way to the front. And we're going to put our carabiner right into this loop. And so this makes this other kind of loop here. So then what we can do is, once we get into the prone position, I'm sorry, this is not the best quality video. We take our bowline, we can wrap that around our foot, and then it won't fall off. And then once we're in, there we go, once we're in the prone position, we can take the slack out by this right here, and it's in front of us. So you take that slack out, it's pulling back on your foot. So then, once you start applying some of that pressure on it, now I can preload the bipod. And the string comes all the way down, back to my foot. Oh, it's pretty good, I guess. I'll go test it. Now that I got that, like, I'm gonna call it 95% figured out, obviously it's time to test it and then kind of upgrade it a little bit. I'm thinking, so right now this is 550 paracord, so I'm thinking about going with something a little bit thicker. I think there's like a 750 or like a 990, just a little bit thicker, heavier duty. The other thing is I don't want to be using necessarily this bright orange. I want to go with like a brown or something, so I think I'll change that out. And then just kind of see about doing a quick deploy thing on here so I can wrap it all up, slap it on the front, rip it out, and it's good to go. The other really cool thing about this is you can use this as a ridge line. So now I basically have one piece of string, and I can use this whole thing as a ridge line if you're using if you got a poncho or something like that. Now I got like this multi-purpose, pretty useful thing. So I'm gonna work on this a little bit more and see if there's anything I can improve on it. And then this may be, say 100% probably gonna be something that goes in my pack. Takes up almost no room. And then if worst case scenario, if I need cordage for anything, I've got cord. So I wish I could do a better quality video. I guess I need to get like a stand or something for the phone or the camera. And but what I'll do is I'm gonna do some more testing on this. It's just a quick idea and kind of the process of going through what I'm working on. I'll do a better video. I'll show you how to make this. I'll come up with a final thing on this, and then I'll show actually using it when this is away and I don't have to shake the camera around. So just look forward to that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.